Hey, you wonderful Cardfights! I'm back with another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile, and this time we got Narukami Standard. Narukami has been my favorite deck of all time since I started playing this game. I started with a Narukami trial deck, the Eradicate of Empire, and I kept this deck in G. Although in G I was kind of disappointed on it, but still I had fun. I played against Luard a lot, and sometimes at the beginning of the Luard when they weren't attempt ritual enough. It was so funny when they were discarding like crazy, and I was like binding their drop zones. But then now in V, I was like waiting for it since V series was announced, and kind of disappointed. It's one of the last clans to be introduced. That's sad, Bishop. Come on, what are you doing? But again, I was disappointed because in G we were actually gaining advantage on binding, but right now the whole deck is like lots and lots of Conquest Dragons. But still, when I played it, I was amazed how good this deck is. It's like one of the best XL clans we got right now, and yeah, like it shits over all the other XL clans, especially first turn SO. And you're forcing them to call their rear guards for no apparent reason, filling up their front rows, and against it does okay against Protect and Force, but against XL clans, it's Kryptonite. This deck is amazing, and without further ado, let's get started. We'll start off with Great Zeros. Of course, we got a starter with a Spark Kid Dragoon, 4 crits, 4 drop EGs, 4 heals, and 4 fronts. I haven't like played around with the trigger lineup that much, but still the lineup I had from the beginning, which is 4-4-4-4, and it's going great. I haven't like gotten any chance where I need more draws or more fronts or more crits. So yeah, the lineup is going great. Now we got great ones. For great ones, I got 3 Demolition Dragon. So now Demolition Dragons have had the skill that on when it's on Vanguard and it hits, you can draw one. So and most of the times against a lot of decks when you hit for the first time, they'll no guard because a lot of them needs counterblast to start their deck engine, or they're just like sometimes they won't even read the card, but if they're a good player, they still need to take few damage to start off their deck engines. So most of the time, either they don't take damage and like turn off their deck engines, or they would take damage and you'll draw. And plus, the other skill is if your opponent has no front row rear guards, you get plus 3k, which is kind of good. You can call it at the back row and like hit some numbers. Next up, we got a MVP of this deck, which is 4 copies of Lizard Soldier Ricky. So the only problem that standard Narukami has is that they got no way of accessing the back row. Like you cannot snipe the back row. You have to use cards like Ricky or that grade 3 that comes in the trial deck, or the other grade 2. I forgot the name. Those like change the position of the rear guards. Like these are the cards that you actually need to attack the back row. And as you know, like our main boss card Detonix needs to kill all of the rear guards to actually make it go well. So yeah, Ricky is really good. Next up, we got 2 copies of Lightning of Hope Helena. So at first I was running it at 4, but then I realized that you don't need it at 4 because you don't go out of counterblast that easily if you like budget all the thing, and plus the deck is kind of so plus heavy because you have Ricky and excess streak. So again, you don't like Helena eats up your soul, and because of that you won't be able to access Ricky or excess streak, and you only need 1 Helena. So yeah, only 2 copies works. Next up, we got 3 copies of Rising Phoenix. Now Rising Phoenix is like it's really good. Like you can guard with it, and then the next turn it will bounce back on the rear guards, because when its skill goes like when a card is bound during your turn, it bounces back from the drop zone and it gains plus 3000 power. So yeah, Rising Phoenix is really good. Uh, Next up, for the grade 2 lineup, we are running 11 grade 2s, which are 4 Recklessness Dragon. Again, this card is amazing. It's just 1 counterblast and you kill off 1 unit in your opponent's front row. And the best part here, it's Vanguard or rear guard. So if you want to kill some rear guards, like your opponent is filling up their front row from the very beginning, you can just keep sniping from the very beginning. And the other skill is if your opponent has 1 or less rear guard in their front row, it gets plus 3k. So yeah, you can make it hit some numbers again. Next up, you got 4 copies of Excess Streak Dragon. Now this card is amazing. It's counter +1, soul +1, bind when your opponent's front row, and then it gains plus 10k power. Get it on an Excel circle, that it's a 28k attacker. So yeah, it's really good. Now we got 3 copies of Dusty Plasma Dragon. I'm not running the other grade 2. What was it? That name? That site. Yeah, I'm not running that site at all, cause that site it really eats up your soul a lot. And as I said, the deck is soul blast heavy, and you cannot budget your soul that much. You need soul for Ricky, you need soul for Excess Streak, and plus it bind itself enough. You don't need that other bind. Plus Dusty Plasma can be used to hit some numbers again. So I was like, yeah, it works better than that site. Now for the grade 3s, we are running 10 grade 3s, which are 4 copies of Detonix Drill Dragon. Now this is your main boss card. Obviously you're gonna run it at 4. Its skill goes like, when it attacks, you counter +1, you discard, you choose one of your opponent's rear guard, bind it, and then you in the front row, you have to bind the front row again, and then you discard the same number of rear cards from your hand as the number of your opponent's rear guards, and then it restands. The only thing that is like I don't like about this card is that you have to discard before you drive check. That means you can actually choose, like, if you get some bad cards from hand, and then you can choose. So you have to maintain your hand before that. That's the only flaw this card has. Besides that, it's like a Ziegenberg for standard, and it's really good. It's like your MVP. You always go into this. Actually, this is mostly your second ride. I'll get that into later. Your first ride is always a tonic stinger. With like, if you're not fighting against Excel, if you're fighting against Excel, I'll get into that later. Now, if you're not fighting Excel, you always go into Detonic Stinger first, then you go into Detonic Drill. Now, Detonic Stinger's skill goes like, when it's placed on rear guard of Vanguard, you counter +1, bind one on your opponent's front row, and it gets power plus 5000. And the other skill is when you ride a grade 3 on it, you call Stinger on into rear guard, and that grade 3 gets power plus 10,000. So you can ride Stinger first, then ride Drill on Stinger, get Stinger to rear guard, plus 10k to Drill, activate Stinger's effect, counter +1, because still it's being on place, so you're placing it from soul, but still on place. You bind one, clear out the front row a bit, and then there's plus 5k. And you can put it on Excel circle to hit 27. Yes, if I'm not wrong, yeah, you hit 27. Now, our final 2 copies of Great Composure Dragon. Now, this is mainly here because of Excel matchups. If you're fighting Excel, you need this card on your Vanguard, especially clans that like. Now, what you're doing is you force your opponent to call rear guards, especially in Excel matchup. If they got 2 Excel circle, you're forcing them to like get them -5 hand, even though they don't even need that much. So they're like they have to fill up their front row just to be able to hit your Vanguard if your Vanguard is Great Composure. So this card is really good. Besides that, in like Enforce or Protect matchup, you can just call it on rear guard. It's still a hitter on rear guard. It gains plus 10k on your turn and plus 3k on your opponent's turn. So yeah, that's the deck, and hope you like it. Be working on the premium deck list later. New Badama deck list is coming, and also a few Gear Chronicle deck. I was working on that for a long time, but haven't got it to that best deck that would actually destroy others. It's not that great, to be honest, but still I'm trying to work something out. Stay tuned for other videos, and see you later. Bye.